There's something happening in the world right now. Can you feel it? Wars, disasters, division. It's all increasing, and it's hard to ignore. But is this just the natural course of history, or is it something more? Have you noticed how people are searching? Not just for success or happiness, but for something deeper, something real. Why does it seem like so many are restless, like they're waiting for something, even if they can't put it into words? And what about truth? In a time when information is everywhere, why does it feel like deception is at an all-time high? How do we know who to trust when so many claim to have the answers? If you knew a major event was on the horizon, would you recognize the warning signs, or would you dismiss them as coincidence? Maybe these are just patterns we've seen before. Or maybe, just maybe, we're standing at the edge of something bigger than we realize. What do you think? Let's take a step back from the big picture for a moment and look at something closer to home. Family life, and how to tell these are signs of Christ's return. Have you noticed how relationships within families seem to be under more strain than ever? Parents and children struggling to understand each other, marriages falling apart, siblings growing distant. It used to be that families gathered around the table, shared meals, and talked about their day. Now, we're more connected to our screens than to the people sitting right next to us. Why is that? Think about how values have shifted. What was once common sense, respect for elders, commitment to family, raising children with a strong foundation, now seems outdated to some. Have we lost something important in the process? And what about the way we treat each other? It seems like patience is wearing thin. Kindness is becoming rare, and forgiveness feels like a lost art. How often do we hold on to grudges instead of working things out? How many families have broken apart over things that could have been mended? But here's something to consider. What if these struggles are not just personal, but part of a bigger picture? What if the fractures in families are a reflection of something happening on a larger scale? Could it be a sign that we need to wake up, pay attention, and start rebuilding what's been broken? Maybe the question isn't just what's happening in the world, but what's happening in our own homes. And if something is shifting, what are we going to do about it? Think about the way things used to be, not in a nostalgic, good old days kind of way, but in the simple reality of how families functioned. There was a time when grandparents, parents, and children all lived close, sometimes even in the same home, passing down wisdom, tradition, and stability. Now, families are more scattered than ever. It's normal for children to move far away, for generations to grow apart, and for relationships to weaken under the weight of distance, both physical and emotional. But it's not just about geography. Even in homes where families live under the same roof, how much real connection is happening? How many meals are eaten in front of separate screens? How many conversations are rushed, distracted, or avoided altogether? Have we mistaken being in the same house for truly being together? And then there's discipline, an uncomfortable topic for many. Years ago, teaching respect, boundaries, and values was a given. Now, many parents feel unsure, afraid of being too strict, yet seeing the effects of being too lenient. Children push back, but are they really asking for fewer rules? Or are they craving structure, security, and someone to guide them? What about marriage? Commitment used to mean something unshakable, a promise that was fought for even in hard times. Now, it's often seen as temporary, something to hold on to only if it feels good. But when did we decide that hard times meant giving up instead of growing stronger? And let's talk about generational wounds. How often do patterns repeat because no one stops to break them? A father who never heard "I love you" struggles to say it to his own kids. A mother who was raised in chaos unknowingly recreates it in her own home. Cycles continue, unless someone decides to change them. So here's the real question. Are these just normal challenges that every generation faces, or are they warning signs of something greater? When families weaken, does society follow? And if the foundation of the home is crumbling, What does that mean for the future? Maybe it's time to stop and ask, what can we do right now to strengthen the things that truly matter? Because if something bigger is happening, wouldn't family be the first place to start making things right? Let's take a moment to ask a serious question. What if the Bible is correct? What if all the signs we're seeing, the breakdown of family, the rise of deception, the chaos in the world, are not just random events, but warnings? What if Christ really is returning? If that's true, then everything changes. Think about family life in that context. The Bible speaks of a time when love will grow cold, when parents and children will be at odds, when right and wrong will be flipped upside down. If we look around, doesn't it feel like we're already there? Families are fractured. Respect is fading. Truth is treated like an opinion. People are living for themselves, chasing temporary happiness, but feeling emptier than ever. So, what would that mean for us? If Christ is coming back, then the question isn't just what's happening in the world, but what am I doing about it? Would we live differently? Would we be more patient with our children, knowing that how we raise them shapes their future? Would we work harder to heal broken relationships instead of holding on to bitterness? Would we fight for our marriages, knowing that commitment means something greater than just personal happiness? And what about our priorities? If Christ is returning, would we spend so much time chasing careers, money, or status? Would we still let distractions keep us from the people who matter most? Would we still put off the hard conversations, the apologies, the forgiveness, thinking we have all the time in the world? If the Bible is true, then these days are not just ordinary times. They are moments of decision. Every argument left unresolved, every moment wasted in anger, every time we choose pride over love. It all matters more than we realize. So what if Christ really is coming back? What would we change? Would we start making time for family again, not just physically, but emotionally? Would we put down the phone, turn off the TV, and have real conversations? Would we teach our children not just how to succeed in life, but how to live with purpose, with faith, with love? Because if the Bible is right, if the return of Christ is not just a distant idea but something approaching, then maybe the biggest question isn't when he's coming, but whether we're ready for it.